This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
We seem to have lost the point where Xaden called Lilith a monster. He'd read her intentions, he called her a monster, and now he's like, oh, everything your mum did was to protect you. Why did Xaden think that Lilith was a monster? This is something that is telling us what magic is taking from him, and it's not his soul. It's between Amari and Malak, and it was a war of the gods. The only thing that the people of the continent could agree on after the Great War was that it should be called the continent. Why would they effectively erase the name of the gods from the continent?
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we cover chapters 33 through 35. And just heads up, we use strong language, express passionate opinions, and explore complex themes.
This episode will contain spoilers from all three books, as well as snippets of information we've had from Rebecca Yarros since the release of the third book.
And before we start with the squad brief, quick heads up. You can now subscribe for exclusive content, think early access to episode, bonus episode every month, and totally ad-free listening. You can even try it for free and cancel anytime. For the best deal, check out faithfullyfantasy.com, or if it's easier, just subscribe right on Spotify or Apple Podcast for instant access. And now, without further ado, let's get into the squad brief.
If you remember, we are still on Unnbriel. Dragon eggs. They're attempting to deal in dragon eggs. The squad is having none of Queen Marlise's deal though, and they can't get off the island quickly enough. We head to Hedotis, and it is quite possibly the weirdest island yet. An island as pale as the face of someone who just realised the chocolate cake is poisoned, but more of that later. We're met by a group of, on the face of it, welcoming, if not purple-eyed, people. But shut the portcullis, it's only Mummy Ryerson. Except now she goes by the name of Mummy Ferris. We dine with the triumvirate, pray to the god who doesn't like to be prayed to, and did we mention the chocolate cake is poisoned? There is so much to cover this week, and oh my god, I've got so much to say about Hedotis.
Yes, now when we start to see the book is getting really interesting, because now a big part of Xaden is coming to the book as well. Yeah,
and like, spoiler alert, I have done a complete 180 on Mummy Ryerson. Like, not 2 weeks ago, I was saying, I hate that woman. She is like the worst woman. I have completely changed my mind.
Surprise, surprise.
Well, I like to change my mind.
Yes. Okay, time for a history lesson. Let's dive deep and see what the past is hiding about the future. Chapter 33.
Epigraph. Do not mistake a dragon's bond for fealty. If you expect a dragon to choose their rider over the well-being of their own kind, prepare for two things, disappointment and death. Colonel Kaori's Field Guide to Dragonkind. Kaori is back!
Yeah, we miss it in all this book.
I do miss Kaori. He doesn't have a big role in this book, does he?
No, we don't have that much content for what the fuck is Kaori doing.
We haven't had one of those episodes in a while.
Yeah.
He's like my favourite fumbling professor. Anyway, can we think of any examples where a dragon has chosen their rider over another dragon?
The only dragon I can think that it is something similar to this was Unnbriel's dragon. If you remember when she was about to be executed because she tried to kill Violet on her chamber, the dragon was the one who tried to defend her. So he was step on the front, and then when Tern started to groan, then he just backed out because he knew he can't do anything against Tern. But I was wondering what would happen if I would be a dragon the same size. It would be fighting against other dragon to defend the rider.
Maybe, but that's Ten, isn't it? Ten does often choose his rider.
Yes.
But possibly not just choosing his rider, choosing that side of the dragon faction, the one that aren't arseholes, like Amber Mavis is.
Yes. But I wonder why Kaori came with this. Maybe you think one day he was talking to the dragon, "Hey, you love me, would you do anything for me?" No.
The Dragon Watcher. No, I think Sigale would choose her rider. And I think Ten and Andana would.
Yeah, I think maybe the dragons, they know they are linked for life. They're just choosing the riders, choosing themselves as well. So everything that goes against the rider health is against the dragon as well at this point.
Yeah, I guess I wonder what it says about the end of the book and where Sigale is at that point. Is she still with Xaden? That's the question, isn't it? Anyway, Queen Marlies has just dropped the bombshell, the dragon eggshell, that she wants 12 dragons, 2 of each breed.
Yeah, assuming that maybe it's male and female, because otherwise there's no point to have 2 each.
Can you tell?
From the egg.
Marlies says she doesn't want dragons, she wants eggs, because their kind has let them get too headstrong. How does she know that they are headstrong?
It's a really good question, because first, that is just telling us that they are like really aware of what's going on in the continent. They know everything.
But they can't talk to dragons.
Yes. So that's one thing. The other one is how were the dragons before? Like 650 years ago, before the wars. I mean, they were more kind. They were more, I don't know, like the griffons, maybe.
Yeah, and maybe, and I wouldn't say that Irids are any less headstrong. They won't bond. The way they are when they eventually find them.
Yes.
Irids are equally headstrong, and they haven't been bonded to humans. So Queen Marlies has no hope in hell of changing a dragon, I don't think, because that's evident through the Irids. But it does support the theory, again, that we mentioned last week, that we think at least some dragons, and including Tern, have been on Unnbriel before. And they went during the time that Daddy Sorengale took Violet to be dedicated. We don't know how, we don't know why, but it does seem like Tern was there.
Yeah.
And I wonder at that point, did Queen Marlies attempt to speak to one, attempt to get close to one like she did with Sigale, and it didn't happen?
Yeah.
When she asks for 12 eggs, I think it's fair to say, and we learn a little bit later, she doesn't know about the Irids, and she's like, if they exist. I'm doing that, like, South American accent. Not because you're South American, but just because that's what Rebecca Soler does in the audiobook. Yeah. And I listened to the audiobook for these 3 chapters as well. And I really like her accent for Queen Marlies. She's like, but do come back again when... That's brilliant. But do visit again when you feel more desperate. Violet obviously turns down the deal. She's like, we do not deal in dragons.
I think she said that 15th of July every year, if you cross the parapet, that you had the right to have a dragon, if the dragon chose you, obviously. So now we had the day for conscription day.
Yeah. But do you think they would have conscripts from outside the continent?
No idea, to be honest. Because so far it seems they're just from the 6th province of the full continent.
Yeah, they wouldn't. I don't think they would take a Poromish citizen, would they? I'm just not sure they would also take a... So I think Violet's making an empty promise there. She might turn up next conscription.
Somebody from Deverelli just going, I want to be a rider. Or from Unnbriel as well.
They could pretend. They could pretend they're from, like, Deaconshire or one of them.
I'm from the bard. With an accent.
Yeah, but they could.
I don't know why I put accent.
I mean, Auric, the prince of Navarre managed to get in.
Yeah.
I think she'd probably be able to. Right. So anyway, when Violet turns this deal down, Queen Marlies says, hold on to that indignation, at least for now, but do visit again when you feel more desperate. From what I know of them, they're rather dedicated to protecting their own, and perhaps a dozen eggs aren't such a bad price for saving the rest of them. Right. This is not so much a theory, but concrete evidence that it's a dragon that takes the eggs at the end.
Yeah.
This links back to Kaori's epigraph about how dragons are so dedicated to protecting their kind.
Yeah.
Queen Marley says the same thing, and she's saying, do visit again. I mainly suspect it's Auric and Molvik, because Auric possibly sees that it is necessary and they need the Umbrish army, and they're like, well, 6 is quite a reasonable price for saving the rest of them. So my number one suspect is Molvik and Auric. My second suspect is Sigel, because we don't know if she's with Xaden. She is at the end of the book there, but we don't know after the wedding whether she's gone. Clearly something is up with Ten. So we suspect that bond is broken, or at least he's too far away from Sigel, and it's painful. The other ones could be Kath. We don't know what's going on with Kath. Kath always seems to have some kind of thing going on, that he's doing his own thing and he's got stinky breath and we don't trust him. And then Ten. It could be Ten, because the bond is either weak or cloudy. Could that suggest that he's not actually close to her and Andana's kind of covering for him? The other one could be Leothan. Leothan could have taken them as his own kind of criterion. There were only 6 eggs taken, not 12.
So one each.
Yeah, so maybe they're only going to get half the army. Or they're not actually going to Unnbriel at all. They're going to the Isle of Irids as their own criterion to work out whether the dragons are ready.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do feel like this is a sign that a dragon took the eggs.
For me, the one that will make more sense will be Auric, because we know by the end of this book, he was basically playing chess. He was moving all the people, like Violet, put in the right place and the right time. So he's really useful. He needs to go somehow in the next book, so he can't be close to Violet. He needs to disappear. So I think maybe Rebecca, she's going to play for a little while in the first chapters, that we're not going to find out straight away who is the Venin, the brother. So maybe it's going to be a few, the one that we think they're still missing. We don't know where they are. But Eric could be the one who's taken half of the deal for maybe half of the army, because he knows that even when now Aracia has proper wars, it's not going to be enough for what is coming. He is the only one who maybe could see that and act somehow for that, and that keeping away everyone, so Violet doesn't have that advantage or have somebody that can see the future.
Yeah, but I think while I think Bodhi is the brother that turned Venin, I feel like it could be Auric just the same because of that, because he knew it had to happen and he's like saw. So Auric, and she has to take Auric out somehow. He's just far too useful, and he's not going to die. Can't die. So he's going to have to be somewhere else for a while. And has he gone off with the eggs? Don't know. Has he turned Venin? Don't know. One of the two, though. He's not just going to be like plucky second year, is he?
Yeah, true. So after Violet is there, there's not going to be any deal with the Queen or Unnbriel. They go back to the camp where everyone is waiting for them, especially Mira. When she sees Violet, she goes straight away to Violet and she's asking like, that lightning was you? She was like, no, how many times I had to tell you there's no magic here, so I can't do it. Mira is, well, but you can still talk into your dragon, so there must be magic somehow. And she's really concerned about it. Like, did she actually make this lightning appear? And I think maybe this is just because she is aware that maybe there's something between Violet is going to turn into a venom, and only a venom will be able to wield in a place when there's no magic, because it has to suck the magic from somewhere else, like Xaden did the Varelli. So maybe she was concerned that Violet did something like this and turned into a venom.
Yeah, she definitely was, because Grandma Niara, when she went to see her, Grandma Niara told her the reason they stopped the dedication was because Violet's path was uncertain. Mira later says something like, the heart that beats for Violet will turn. I think it's the priestess that maybe says it or something. But then that's when Xaden tells Mira that he's actually Venom. So that whole time, Mira's been worried that Violet's going to be the one that turns Venom. But I don't know the timelines. We have to get to that bit, because I feel like in this part, Violet instigates the conversation about the dedication, doesn't she? And she's like, I found somebody with silver hair. And Mira genuinely seems like she doesn't know what that means. So I'm not sure about the timelines between what Niara told her about her dad taking her to be dedicated and the bit where she admits that she knows something, because this part about, like, when they talk about silver hair, it genuinely feels like Mira has no idea, because they say, we don't have relatives on the island. And she said, I'd never considered it was hereditary.
When Violet asked when it started, and she said, you've always been like this. So she can understand there was a before or something.
Yeah, but then later in the book, she says, no, you were 2 when it happened. So Mira's either lying here, which I don't get the impression she is, or she just hasn't found out that bit yet. So does she go back to see Niara? Or does she, like...
I can't remember, but I think everything that you say is when, after Andarna leaves, when Violet is on bed and she's feeling really bad about it. So this is when everyone is talking about it. But I can't remember what is going to happen that makes Mira to know the truth or tell what's going on.
Well, we'll get to that bit in our deep dive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They can't wait to get off this island. They stay, I think, just long enough for the griffins to rest a bit or something. And then they head to Hedotus.
Yes.
So.
Interesting place, yes.
Tan says, so they arrive on Hedotus. It is really pale. It's like anemic island. Tan says perhaps magic gets weaker this far away from the continent. Main question is that they haven't been to Zelna yet. Zelna is the place we go to next, so the Isle of Zanal. There is magic there. Is Hedotus further away from the continent than Zelna? That feels a reach. So my first thing is, why is the land so pale? And I strongly suspect venom activity on this island.
Definitely there's a correlation between the color of the land with magic. So where there's magic, there's color, there's life. So far, for me, the interesting part is this island, they're really pale. So that means there's less magic. But so far, I can't point it out is because the islands are really far away from the source of magic. There's like maybe the continent, or it's because something is draining the island. So there was magic, or maybe there's still a little bit, but not even enough to give in color to the ground.
Something drained it or is draining it.
Yes.
I don't see how there would be magic on Zelna, which is further from the continent. Unless it's just like a bit closer and they're going around that way. But why wouldn't they have gone to Zelna first? Doesn't make sense. They go to Zelna next, so it's further away. I mean, let's talk about this island. So the first thing they notice is that everything is uniform and standard. And Violet says they razed the old city to the ground and rebuilt in a uniform, standard way. And there's no port, but I'll come to that bit. So I was doing a bit of research and looking at in the real world, when has this happened? So when has anybody razed a city to the ground and rebuilt it? And there's a few examples, and they're all very specific reasons. So the most boring one, modernization. So everything's too old, the streets are too narrow, you can't fit the cars down it. What they did in the 19th century in Paris was that they razed a lot of it and they rebuilt it. That one's boring. I really don't think Herodotus was just like, oh, this isn't modern enough, we need wider streets. I mean, they're not driving cars, are they? So
make a lot of sense to be something in this book.
Yeah, just that's too boring.
Yeah.
Starts getting interesting when you look at post-disaster reconstructions. There's loads of examples of this, like Haiti and Fukushima. They're hit by either earthquake, flood.
Just war as well.
Yeah.
It's been all destroyed.
Yeah, or war. Mm-hmm. Then you obviously have to rebuild. You've got no choice but to rebuild. So war is an interesting one. Were they previously attacked? Were they attacked by venom? Were they attacked by dragons, wyvern, and that's why it had to be rebuilt? Possibly. I do think there was a war, but I think that the people that live on Herodotus were the victors. So they came and they took over, whoever they are, these suspicious people with purple eyes. The next one, which is really, really interesting, and it could link to that, is that they're trying to erase the past identity and create like a new symbolic one. So if you look at an example like Pyongyang in North Korea, that is exactly what happened. So rebuilding to remove history. Mm-hmm. Did there used to be magic on the island? Were there different people there? And they effectively raised the city and were like, this is the new order of things and we are in control. The triumvirate is in power and what we say goes. Mm-hmm. Although the triumvirate is elected, so there obviously is some kind of feeling, but that's not necessarily the case, is it? Because you still have major dictatorships that are ultimately they do have an election, but they're not necessarily democratic, and there's a lot of election rigging. So yeah, could be that that's the case. Economic development, again, another unlikely one. Shenzhen in China was turned from a fishing village into like a tech center, like a tech hub. So it could be that. But again, economic development, modernization feels a bit flat for this book, doesn't it? It's not very good.
Yeah, it doesn't have any sense to say something like that.
My bet is that Herodotus was attacked by some other people and they have taken over the land. Are they even human? Because it's like they have flattened everything down and they're trying to mimic humanity, or but they're getting everything a bit too perfect. Mm-hmm. The purple eyes are super interesting. There's a lot of blue. We find out later that there's like a bit of blue chemical in the food, which is odd considering there's no color in the ground. Mm-hmm. But what do blue and red make?
Yeah, purple.
So are their eyes naturally red? This all links to the iridology, like the color of the eyes, a massive theme throughout the book. Ferris is kind of interested in Violet's eyes when she arrives. Mm-hmm. And it seems like a thing where there's definitely something going on with their eyes. I am calling venom activity, like red eyes plus blue pigment equals purple. Like it's basic.
Yeah, something that caught my attention when he was, one of them, they were talking about Violet's eyes. They were saying it's not green, it's not blue, it's not golden. Golden was like something strange to say about a human eyes, golden eyes, like a dragon.
His wife has gold-flecked onyx eyes, which, again, another theory about.
No, for me, it was kind of like they have seen people with golden eyes. So that's why it's saying this. And that's kind of like the link that I was trying to get to. Maybe.
Oh, so he said they're not golden.
They're not blue, they're not green, they're not gold. So it's like it's not none of those three colors independently.
Yeah, who has gold eyes other than
Exactly.
dragons?
Unless there maybe is people from Loyal, they are full dedicated and they have gold eyes.
Yeah, definitely think that Xaden's mum's from Loisum. So Violet's view of the island actually comes later, where she says, from the air it seems laid out perfectly. It's a collection of exquisitely proportioned neighbourhoods, all with central meeting places for markets and gatherings. It is perfect, Rosalind says. And then Violet says it's actually cruel because they destroyed the people's homes. They destroyed the uniqueness. And that's where you realise there's something really bad going on.
Yeah, because it's a strand. For some people, they always so into knowledge. They appreciate so much the knowledge. They are basically erasing the past because the culture, the buildings, all of that is part of knowledge as well. So knowing from where you come from. And they're just deleting all of this. They're erasing all the culture, all the story.
Mm-hmm. And who does that sound like?
It sounds pure scribes.
Scribes, Markham.
And Violet does a reference about the robes. That she said they're like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like the scribe robes. The only thing that
pale
change
green.
is the color.
Yeah.
So I was wondering as well, maybe this is just because when Basgayad was built 650 years ago, somebody from Herodotus, there was somebody that was into, knowledge and all that kind of stuff, built the scribe quadrant on base or inspiration from the people.
Yeah,
from
but we
Herodotus.
wouldn't know because their libraries have all been destroyed. And yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
So again, like I know I've got so much to say about this, but they didn't build a port. And there's got to be some reasons why they didn't build a port. So they've rebuilt a whole town. It's a coastal town on an island, and they decided not to build a port. So all the boats that bring things in, like chocolate, more offshore, and they have little dinghies that come out. That's got to be controlled, right? So the Triumvirate want to control what's coming in, what's going out. So they are definitely hiding something. This feels like a North Korea type. So you ban information because you don't want people learning what's on the outside. It just feels like a very closed off, deliberately strategic kind of political regime, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much another scribe quadrant, but it's the full island that is working on this way when they're controlling all the information that's going to the island.
Yeah. So paranoia could be past trauma. It could be that they attacked from the sea because they came over the sea. So they want to protect themselves from somebody else doing the same thing. No port means no surprises. The dinghies, the ships obviously can't get close to the shore. So we have heard about pirates before, but that was mostly in the Emerald Sea, so up at the top, up in the north. But that doesn't mean to say there's no pirates in the south. We do know they exist in the book. So later we find out that they're actually scared of the sea. So she says, why didn't you build a port? And they're like, well, we don't know what's lurking beneath its depths. And again, this comes back to my theory that there's magic in the water as well.
Yeah, when I was reading that part, it feels that maybe they're talking about danger coming from the sea as well. So I was thinking it could be pirates, or could be maybe a sea monster or sea creatures that come from the sea. Yeah, so we have dragons that are the one who is taking the sky. So it will be logic as well that maybe we have another magical creatures they take in the oceans.
Yeah, some kind of kraken.
Yes, I remember the one of our followers said there was a mention of kraken and
yeah, I couldn't find it.
I don't know if it's the specific word kraken or something that's like reference to a sea
maybe
monster.
it was this part that they were thinking of, because there is definitely a reference to like something lurking beneath its depths. And that is what I thought of. So before Onyx Storm, I would have been like, no, that doesn't fit with this world. Like, but the way Rebecca Yarros has brought the gods like fully to the fore, and there's mention of pirates, like I can't rule anything out at this stage, because yeah, I would have thought that would not, but now I'm kind of expecting the revelation to be that there's magic in the water.
Yeah, so basically with Fort Wind and Iron Flame, we started like in a bubble. So everything was in a water, and it was just dragons and griffons. There was nothing else. Now going further with Onyx Storm, it's just now you can expect everything from anywhere.
Yeah. So Drake and Mira are arguing about a flight maneuver, and it's clearly a bit of banter, isn't it? Mira doesn't seem to be having any of it, but Drake is really pushing it. And Xaden then says, Drake, you're starting to annoy me. And Violet and Garrick share some kind of glance that's like, that's not him. Surely that tiny thing wouldn't push him over the edge. But this to me seems like he's reading Drake's intentions, and Drake is intending to like flirt with Mira. But he can't be because there's no magic.
Yeah.
But it really, really seems like it.
Yeah, it's something weird because he said you're annoying man and you should stop that.
Yeah.
You need to be careful with that. And then that's how everything finished there, how dies. But it's just too random to be just something random.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely able to read some intentions for somehow, because there really is no magic there, apparently.
Unless then maybe has something in the pockets or some
The
kind
alloy.
of magic that he's just channeling just tiny bits to read intentions.
Well, Violet has the alloy. Maybe.
The other thing that for me was really random, and this scene is when they're walking on the beach and they spot a dead bird in the beach. Even Violet is like, yuck. Why?
Because of the Eris birds. So she learnt on the previous, she mentioned in the previous chapters, or even in this one, I can't remember, but the Eris bird, if they migrate too late to Hedotus, they end up dead with like blue dye around their lips. Do you remember?
Yeah,
because they're eating the berries.
The berries.
Which she's going to later use to poison Faris. So it's all linked. The dead bird is like innocuous enough, but actually it's foreshadowing, and you only realise that when in the rereads. So a group of locals arrive.
Yes, and Garrick tense when he see the people arriving, and I was just wondering, maybe did he spot Xaden's mom from the distance somehow?
I don't know, because he does seem genuinely surprised when she turns around the corner. I don't know if he's just tensing because you would tense.
These people, you don't know what to expect from them.
Yeah. Right, Faris, and I'm going to go off on one about silver hair. Faris has 2 strips of silver hair. Not white, not grey, silver. I say that so many times. Red curly hair, nice. Why is there silver streaks, and why does that make us think of Suri?
It's definitely something about it. It can't be just something because age, because otherwise she will say it's white. But no, when it's a silver reference, it's because silver.
Yeah. I just don't see that he is linked to Dune, this guy, but it's the word streaks. It's not half a head of silver hair, full head of silver hair, it's streaks. 2 streaks, which Suri has 1 streak.
Yes.
What does it mean?
And the other thing, do we then can assume that everything that has to silver hair, it has to be with Dune, or it has to be something else from other gods? Or...
So I think it is Dune, isn't it? Because it's the specific silver reference. And nobody on Zelna had silver hair.
The strange thing that people like Violet, they've been touched but not full dedicated, has half of the hair silver, but there's no streaks.
No,
so
and I suspect, and you suspect, because we've talked about this, that so there's only 2 gods that require a lifetime of dedication, and that is Dune and Loyal, because war and love change souls irrevocably.
Yes.
And we suspect that the gold flecks in the Onyx eyes are something to do with Loyal.
Yes.
Not just random silver hair, because otherwise that would mean Faris and Suri, who are both absolute wankers. Sorry, but I don't like her at all. That would link them somehow to Loyal, and I don't buy it.
Unless there's something else that made people's hair silver. Because remember that before Onyx Storm, I used to think that silver was reference to venom. And when Sori saw Violet's half hair because she got like scared when she saw the hair. So I thought it has to be like a venom link, or how much venom power you have, something like this. But at the moment, we still don't know why Suri was scared of Violet when she saw the hair. Even if she thinks that means that she's half dedicated or touched by Dune, that actually doesn't mean that she needs to be scared of that.
No.
Unless maybe she's confusing that silver hair with something else.
Yeah, I agree with you. Something venom-y.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about the eyes and my suspicion that red plus blue equals purple. He also has a sparkling gem. Like a ruby, it's red. It's mentioned that it's red. And red gems have come up so often in this book. So we have Moraine, the Duchess of Moraine, has them, and we know that she's up to no good.
Theophany, she has a ruby halter sword.
Yeah, Theophany. We know that she's up to no good. We had a book that the squad were reading that was like called Red Regalia, which that will be that. It's linked to venom, isn't it? And the weirdest thing is that Kat receives the ruby necklace from Zanal, which is another one. Like, so they come up everywhere. But this one's quite under the radar. He has a red gem. It's not described as a ruby, it's just a gem. So the other alternative is that it's one of these kind of gemstones from Poromil, which is capable of amplifying minor magics. So suspect again that Faris somehow has some access to a type of magic. Possibly the Triumvirate are hoarding it. They've got green gems, haven't they? In the meal, which they turn over. So there's obviously some kind of gems here. And yeah, I suspect that they're possibly traded from other islands, and that's how they've got so much control. Or traded from Poromil, sorry. Possibly Takaris. And then, drum roll please. I did not think we would get Daddy Sorengel's research, Irids, and Xaden's mum in this book. And we're like, we got so many more questions than answers, but we didn't. We got so many answers. Whereas Xaden's mum was a massive topic for us all the way through Fourth Wing and Iron Flame.
I remember there was like a time that we thought she could be like a queen or something, that she has to leave because of that. But not definitely Hedotis. I thought it would be more like a war. Or...
She is not from Hedotis. 100% she's not from Hedotis.
A lot to say about how good Rebecca Yarros is writing, because in this part when Talia sees Xaden and she says, Xaden, is that you? And then Xaden, what he does is he's holding Violet from the back, and Violet says that he feels that he's like trying to hide behind her. So it's like he's like 10 years again. So he sees the mother, and maybe he like feels like a little boy again, and he says, Mom?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, there's like a syndrome or something when you behave one way with somebody and then you stop seeing that person for years, and then when you come back see that person, you kind of come back to that like habit.
Yeah.
So here is feel like the same. They say that maybe feel like a little boy again, like 10 years old with a man in front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Memoirs of Luzbel. She loved him. She lost him. And he came back. But wasn't completely him. She feared him. She fought him. But she fell for him. Memoirs of Luzbel. Now available on Amazon.
Okay, chapter 34.
The epigraph. It has been the experience of my lifetime to spend these months with others who value knowledge just as reverently as I do. But though their intelligence and their wisdom inspire me, their artifice terrifies me. Hedotus, Isle of Hadian, by Captain Asher Soaringale. Captain Soaringale.
Yeah.
He's had a promotion.
Yeah.
And a marriage. It's suspicious to me that Daddy Soaringale actually enjoyed being on this island.
Mm-hmm.
Also, did Daddy Soaringale know Xaden's mum was there?
We don't know how in the timeline when this happened, because it could be when Xaden was little or even before he was born.
Yeah, she could have been there, couldn't she? She could have been in Navarre.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, in Tirandor.
Or even before in the islands, because we're talking about maybe when he was in the island, Fenrir, he wasn't even started the revolution.
No.
Way before.
Yeah, but
This
Xaden was
captain.
born, wasn't he? 23 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it wasn't just around the revolution time. She could have been there in Tirandor, or she could have been where she was originally from.
Yeah.
So it surprises me that he enjoyed being there, because Andana didn't like it as soon as she got there, and Violet didn't like it as soon as she got there. It would be weird that he would like it. We don't know that he actually spent time with the Triumvirate. We know that he was obviously tested, but he could have just stayed in the village, in the city, couldn't he? Although Ferris did know him. Because,
yes, he was famous.
Yeah. Basically, this is on the surface, they appear to be brilliant scholars, but yeah, so their trickery and their kind of cunning is what terrifies Asher. So it just gives me Markham vibes again and Scribe vibes.
Yeah, as what I said before, all of this, it was the inspiration to build the Scribe Quadrant. Because it's pretty much the same.
Yeah. Right, okay. Let's talk about Xaden's mum.
Xaden's mum.
Xaden's mum has the same eyes. Xaden's mum is not from Hedotus. Xaden's mum is from Loisum. Mm-hmm. She has gold-flecked onyx eyes on an island of purple-eyed people.
Yes.
They try and get around it by saying that the berries or the food turns the eyes of pale-eyed people purple. But I'm not buying it. There are several parts of this chapter that confirm she is not from Hedotus. There is one particular line where it says, Hedotus hasn't entered a war or aligned itself with any kingdom at war in its recorded history. Mm-hmm. If she was from Hedotus, her alliance with Fen would have been in recorded history. So she is not there as Hedotus. She is there in an alliance with Hedotus from possibly Loisum. So my theory is that she is there from Loisum. She is either dedicated to Loyal, hence the gold flecks in her eyes, or partially dedicated, or that is just what they are like on the Isle of Loisum. There is the epigraph, which is confiscated correspondence of Fen Ryerson to unknown intended recipient. The most useless word in the language of aristocracy has always been and will forever be love. Marriage is a necessary evil to secure the line, nothing more. Save love for your children. So Fen really loved Xaden. So Ferris is giving them these children to love, and that is her role. And I genuinely think that there has to be... I think she loves Xaden. I think she had to go because she is serving this higher purpose, not because she was scared that they were going to kill her, but she can't admit it. And that is what she says, that she was scared they were going to kill her. And it's heartbreaking and it's terrible, but I think she was used as a scapegoat, as a lot of mothers are.
Yeah, well, what she says is that for her was no point to say that because she will die. And she knew maybe they say that he will leave. So better for her just to leave the place, to carry on with her mission in life, I guess.
Which is
giving love.
Giving children love. For these men to love. Question is, will she leave the twins? Although they suspect one of them is older than 10, but I mean, how many 23-year-olds can look at a kid and correctly guess an age? I think you have to have had kids, really, don't you, to have a clue, like what, and like not just have kids, but be around kids. And Violet and Xaden aren't at all.
Yeah.
So Violet does notice the gold flecks in Talia's eyes. And she says something, or she thinks something like, hopefully Andana's kind will know how to return the flecks in his eyes back to gold. We know that they don't, or at least we know they say they don't, because they say there is no cure, that his soul is dead. But I wonder if this is kind of a sign, kind of a link to Irids and Loisum. Although the Irids say they don't live with humans, they don't live with people. They have travelled quite far, and I feel like possibly there's a link with Loisum. Perhaps they are on Loisum.
So far, it's the only island that we haven't seen it yet. It will be interesting to see the culture, or if there's anything there, because it might be just a temple when people go there, get dedicated, and they just live to share the love with the rest of the world. So maybe there's not actually people living there because the mission is just spread the love.
Yeah, but then you'd expect to see more people with gold-flecked onyx eyes everywhere
completely
else.
golden, like Faris said, gold eyes. So that for me is gonna be like one of the interesting to see about the people who are full dedicated to loyal. Then maybe their eyes are gold, like the dragons.
Yeah. Right, so they are welcomed into the home of Faris and Talia, and shown to a room. Obviously, Xaden is not in a good way. So Violet answers the door. Talia gives Violet a tray of food for Xaden. She's trying to get to Xaden. Tern says Tellery loathes her, and Sigale is trying to work out whether to let her live. How does he know any of this? He can't communicate with Sigale.
I think just because there's no magic doesn't mean that when they are actually together face to face can communicate as a dragon. So maybe they're growling and they can talk each other, but it's just when they're apart they can't do it mentally. But I think if they're face to face like animals, they can tell everything with their love, with the jazz, with the groanings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but we would struggle to communicate with each other if we're used to talking and then all of a sudden we couldn't talk or hear.
Yeah, but we still have, I don't know, the common thing as a human species.
Yeah, but it would still be really hard. You'd just be like, I don't know, it'd be really hard.
Well,
for those just listening, I was just pulling faces.
Not sure if the dragon from the beginning, they started with magic and straight away it was a mentally communication.
Yeah, but then you get so reliant on something, don't you? You get reliant on an easy form of communication that you can't do it any other way.
And say more is, if you remember presentation day when the two green dragons came to Violet, the Violet was talking to them the two dragons, they were like talking between them, and Violet and they were doing kind of like a growling or something, and they were communicating between
But they
them.
would have been communicating in their heads because they can do that.
Yeah, but there's still like a sound or something.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
He risked erasure. Violet tells Talia that he risked erasure for Violet, and Talia is shocked, and she says, like, through a watery smile, then he loves you. His father would never have done that for me. And I think that watery smile is like, this is where I started to get the vibes that she is like, has managed to bring a child who is able to love. And that was where I was starting to get the links.
Yes, because that's another of the reasons I think those golden flakes has to be with Loyal, because Xaden, he's just pure love for Violet. He said Violet is the first thing. Like, there's nothing above her, because he just loves her. Violet's everything for him. And this is just another hint for that.
Yeah, and I do think that it protects him somewhat from the venenism, because the very like fact that it says war and love change your soul irrevocably, like that changes your soul. And when you give your soul, that's not the same, is it? If your soul is changed by love, surely that is not the same.
I still think in the magic light balance, when Xaden is just channeling because he needs power for a specific moment, so he needs a limited power, just enough to overtake somebody. He's not doing it because he's ambitious, so he normally does it because protecting somebody. So maybe magic, it will change a fair price, and maybe it's not the soul. It's
something else, like emotion. That's the problem. So you can see in this chapter, and it's actually really heartbreaking, that he doesn't want to feel pain. And he says, when I let go, or when I channel magic, I don't feel the pain.
Yeah.
So there is something, he is slipping. And like the dream that we get later shows that Bowen at least thinks that he's got tools that will convert Xaden. Anyway, Xaden finds the serum and the antidote, and you think everything's going to kick off, but it doesn't. He's like, I'm glad you've got it because I don't want to hurt you or whatever. Although we get his view here of his relationship with Sigale at this moment. He says, I would take it if it meant that if I wasn't going to hurt you. If I knew that, if I didn't think Sigale would like roast me for cutting that connection off. And while it seems like Sigale wasn't talking to him up until this point, or she can't talk to him, but up until at least when they get to Zelna, she's like starting to shout at him. It seems like she would be worried without the connection, because she can't keep an eye on, or she can't kind of convince him not to channel. Also, I did wonder if he wasn't connected to her, if he would be more desperate to channel from the ground, but you can't, can you? When you've had the serum, it means you're not able to channel from any source.
You're in a mentally fog, so yeah, you can't do anything. But for me, I took this moment that Sigale was more like a worried mom. She says that Xaden is struggling with all this stuff with the mom, and even Xaden, there's a time they say that Sigale is just basically going from one side to another one, keeping close to Xaden. And he says, just go hunt something. I know that you're hungry, I know you're in pain, at least just eat something so you can relieve one of those pain. And Sigale just shouts at him, don't tell me what I do or not.
And he like tramples the kids.
Yes, that's how we found out that now Xaden has half brothers.
Yeah, and Violet's having to translate it for him, and she knows that the kids call her mom.
Yeah.
But they're really excited about the dragons.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. They're not scared.
No, but they're kids, probably they had never seen a dragon before, so it'll be like a cool thing for them.
I've seen them in books. Xaden says, it makes sense now. It makes sense why she never had family visit. Like he just thought that she was somewhere in Poromil because no one ever told her where she came from. Not that she came from Hedotus.
Yeah, he didn't even know they were from one of the islands.
No, but she did whisper, apparently. She told stories of the people who lived without war and they had purple eyes. And that's odd, considering everything else points to the fact that she wasn't from here. But then Violet says it's because there is this villadrite, is what it's called. So they eat villadrite, which turns their eyes purple. And again, yeah, it's really suspicious.
Yeah.
The villadrite in the plants. This means that the island isn't naturally pale. If there's a pigment strong enough in everything they eat that is strong enough to turn people's eyes purple, that shows me that either, well, it can't be it must be controlled by the triumvirate. It must be some kind of, you know how you like put chemicals in the water to clean it? Well, I suspect that the triumvirate are putting this chemical in the food, either like fertilizer, spray, whatever, and that is to control the people, and the purple eyes are the ones that are being controlled.
Yeah.
Or controlling.
I don't think this is something natural from this island. I think this has just been something that's been used for the island. But
It must be.
yeah, so far we don't see what are the benefits of eating this apart of just change the color of your eyes. So if that is just maybe like a mark to know that you're from that island, or if it's something else that affecting your brain or something else in your body.
Okay, first, I want to talk about the figs. So Talia brings the tray of food and it's got sugared figs on. And it's quite convenient that she brings the figs because they are the cure, the antidote to the poison in the chocolate cake. So while Talia seemed very shocked by the whole thing and she was like, you poisoned my son, it just so happened that she brought the figs on the tray and effectively gave him the antidote before the poisoning. So either she suspected it or it's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence.
I don't know, because she really seemed really affected when she found out there was poison in the cake. But I don't know if it's affected because he used the poison in the cake, or maybe she was expecting it would be somewhere else.
No,
and then
I don't
maybe
think...
they waste the cake, all the chocolate for like... Seriously, after weeks and weeks collecting the chocolate, you poison the cake?
I think she loves Xaden, I do. I changed my mind. Anyway, regardless of whether you think she was in on it, the antidote was there all along. Wonder had he eaten them before and there was already figs in his system, whether he wouldn't have been affected. And that's where you start to think, did she know?
Yeah.
We do know that she was chatting to the chef because Violet sees her. Anyway, some more clever writing from Rebecca Yarros just to add another piece of evidence to the fact that anyone who says Rebecca Yarros is not a good writer is just a lazy book reviewer. Xaden says it's a shame we don't have a mender here to mend your ribs because she's struggling with her broken ribs. And Violet says, in a world without magic, the best medicine is time. And then they look down at the beach and they see Kat and Traeger walking hand in hand. And obviously they're talking about the time that it's going to take to repair her ribs. But actually there's a really nice link to Kat and Traeger here, how Kat has come to terms with the fact that she is no longer going to be with Xaden and she can't hold on to that anger and kind of regret forever. She's moved on and now she's found Traeger, and what's helped with that is time.
Yeah.
You get over a breakup in time, don't you?
Yeah, in the end, we always said time is the best medicine for everything.
So they're having a moment, Violet and Xaden, on this balcony. And he's like, you think I should go, don't you? And she's like, it's up to you. I'm not the best person to ask. And then Xaden starts being a bit weird and saying, because she charmed you in the 3 minutes by the door. And Violet responds, because my mum is dead. You should go and talk to Garrick about this, because any advice that I give you is going to be kind of clouded by my own grief. And I wonder, like, I'm always kind of asking about Dane's mum and everyone else's mum. We don't know what happened to Garrick's mum. Garrick's mum could have been executed.
Yeah, I think it's more likely. But obviously we don't know all the stuff for every single one of them, like the marriage. We know that Leanne's mom was a writer, but the father wasn't a writer, but he died anyway.
We know that
was executed.
Imogen's mom and sister were executed. We don't know if they were riders or if they were...
Just part of the revolution.
I suspect they could have been, because she's got 2 signets.
Yeah, I definitely think the mother of Imogen was a writer, because I think there is a epigraph when she is saying to somebody that we are assuming that it could be Lilith. They say that in this world we go like in the right way or with the right people or something like this. So she is like in the revolution, or she is fighting against the dark wielders and all this kind of stuff. So she must be a writer, I think.
Yeah, where it's like, will you be able to say the same thing? I died knowing. Yeah. I remember that now. It's the one, it's the Imogen POV chapter, isn't it?
Yes.
Xaden then comes back to this, like, well, my mum's dead. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But he says everything that your mum did was because she loved you, basically, or to protect you. And my mum just left.
Yeah.
2 things here. I don't think Talia did. I think she left to protect him. I think there was something loyal going on to protect him. But 2, we seem to have lost the point where Xaden called Lilith a monster. He'd read her intentions. He called her a monster. And now he's like, oh, everything your mum did was to protect you. Why did Xaden think that Lilith was a monster?
Because by that time he was 100% human. And now that he's Venom, he's like, oh, well, now I understand.
So he knows that she was Venom
She
now.
was a Venom, yeah.
I do think she was Venom. I genuinely do think she was Venom. The red eyes in the story, like that memory.
Yeah, there's something about the black circles under their eyes as well, because if you notice, the people who saying this is people that are related to Venom or being in contact with Venom. So it was Lilith and Xaden as well. So
Yeah,
I still don't know exactly what it is.
So specifically, Xaden has bags under his eyes after the dreams with Berwyn. And that suggests that possibly Lilith was struggling with being contacted by dreams as well. There's obviously a big reason why she didn't go to Erasure. We were kind of questioning, like, if she was really wanting to protect her children, why did she stay behind the wards at Navarre, and why didn't she go to Erasure? She found out all 3 of her children were there. Could she not have protected them better there than she could from Navarre? And possibly she was too scared to leave the wards because she thought she would channel. And she is like known for this level of control. And there's the epigraph, isn't there, from Nolan to Lilith that says there is no cure, only control.
Yes.
The question, though, is how did she die? If she's Venom, how did she die? And she would have had to have either found a cure or transferring your power being siphoned through you is possibly another way of killing Venom.
Obviously, we need to wait and see why can cause the death from Venom, because today talking with some people on Discord as well, we're talking about reduct power that he's able to maybe freeze people from inside. So I was wondering if he does that to a venom, who will be able to kill it. Because if you freeze it, like completely freeze the venom, and then you just punch it on something, it will go in pieces. Doesn't mean that the venom will die, or it will just light fire. It won't be affected.
Do you think if you punched a big block of ice, like the shape of a human, you would smash it up? Do you really?
I mean, I'll need throw it on the floor or something.
You'd just be like, my hand! Like,
Oh, come on.
shaking
This
it.
is magic for wind, so physics is
Smash,
not
maybe smash it with an
100%.
axe or a sledgehammer.
The dragon is just pass
Yeah,
with
a dragon.
brush.
Sorry, a dragon. Yes, not like
No, they're right there. They're kicking and then,
you think you're One
Right.
Punch Man.
yeah.
Xaden really does seem to be slipping here, and it's really, really sad. So he says, like, points at his eyes, and he's like, "Don't think like I'm saying this because of anything to do with this." And he's pointing at his amber flecked onyx eyes. He says he's aware the moments where he lacks emotion. He sees Violet and Garrick having these like little glances, and they're concerned about it. He says he's already feeling it. It's like sliding over ice. He says, while a shrinking part of me screams that I'm supposed to be swimming in those pieces I've bartered away, and those feelings are right beneath the surface, but fuck is skating faster and a hell of a lot less messy. So he says it's messy and painful and infuriating, and if I could choose to give this portion of myself away, so help me Malak, I would. I get it now. It's not just the power that's addicting. It's the freedom to not feel this. Wasn't that so sad?
Well, you need to be in Xaden's feet. So when he was 10, the mother, they
Don't.
make
I'm
a
already
cake,
sad.
and she left. He never knew what happened to her. So maybe he was thinking something horrible happened to her, that she has to do this. Then he found out that she's fine. She was having a happy life in this island when she's
more
married with other 2 kids. And the kids are basically the same age that she's been absent, which is mean that straight away when she left, she started a new life. And probably a year after that, she was already having a baby. So for Xaden, all the stuff that he has to go through by himself, like see his dad dying in front of him, be the responsible, all these 107 Mark ones, be the leader of the revolution, all by himself because he didn't have a man, he didn't have a father. And then he found out that the mother could be there for him, but she just didn't want to. So
Well, that's what he
heartbreaking.
thinks. Yeah, it is heartbreaking. He doesn't want to feel it, but it's just sad that he's like wanting to turn to get away from the pain, not to get the power.
Yes, something that you can see from Xaden is that he is just like holding all these feelings. He wants to trying to be like he had no feelings at all. But then comes to the point that he just explodes because he can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And now here is when he just, because we're in front of Violet, he feels safe. So he just let everything go.
The bits where he's saying the pieces he's bartered away, what is that? Because that's the bit that he's traded for magic, for the stolen magic. It's not his soul. He should be swimming in the pieces that he's bartered away.
Right now, all the personal life, all the issues that he has here with the mother, the family, with Violet as well, and the last weeks, it's just been like too much for him. That side, the human side, is just too messy, and then it's pushing
Yeah,
into like the venom side when there's no feelings. It's what he says, less messy. So I mean, there's no issues because he's not thinking, or when he's channeling, there's nothing other stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what he is saying. But Rebecca Yarros is giving us clues here, because if you think about what Jack said, he said, we can't choose which part of us gets given away. Then Xaden is saying, I should be swimming in the pieces that I've bartered away. So this is the same thing that Jack was saying, that this is something that is telling us what magic is taking from him, and it's not his soul. But what is it?
Memory, feelings.
It's not the feelings, because he wants to give that away. He was saying, if I could give this part away instead, is he... And part of the epigraph that's like later on, it says, "You're kinder than you know." Is magic taking the like coolness and the iciness? He's calling her love now. He's not calling her violence. Is magic taking something, because he's doing it for a good reason, is magic taking the bad bits? You know, the good, the bad, and the unforgivable?
Not maybe the bad bits, but maybe the part when he's a warrior, when he's somebody that's cold and calculated and with no mercy.
Yeah.
So that's maybe Satan's identity, and if he starts losing that, then who is Xaden? If I'm gonna be just like a rainbow, just
no, he's still gonna slip further down, isn't he? And it's so confusing, this bit. But I just feel like there's something in that text that links back to the fact that magic chooses what it takes, and it's not necessarily his soul. And Violet says, "Give it to me, I will take it. Give it to me, I will look after it, and I will feel it." And that is what he says. He said at another point, she already has his soul. And then at the end of the book, when they got married, it says, "It's yours now." Like, there's lots of things where she's like protecting his soul. She wants to take the pain. Is she like, I don't know. There's something here. Just can't. I don't think we'll be able to figure it out, but this links directly back to the bit that Jack says around that they don't get to choose.
Yes, something that we can be agree is say there's not losing his soul because being a venom. So why he's losing, we won't know until next book.
No, he's definitely losing something.
We can be agreeing that there's losing something, but it's not the soul. But is it going to be seen as bad or?
Yeah. The chapter ends with Violet essentially having a plan, and it's all because of Venom. That's a Freudian slip. Brennan does sound like Venom.
There's a hint as well.
Yeah. It's all because of Brennan. So Brennan has packed the Aaron mint in Brennan has
like a medical kit or.
Yeah, Brennan has packed the Aaron mint in the medical kit that he sent with Xaden. So she's going to take that down to Talia, and she's essentially just going to poison everyone. She has a plan. Anyway.
Yeah, I think the plan comes when she sees that they're taking the children away. So Violet starts to think, okay, they're taking the children away. That is not good. That's something that's going to happen here. So she says Andana to watch out for the kids while she comes with this plan.
Chapter 35.
Chapter 35.
Epigraph. The god of wisdom is the trickiest to placate. Xaden seems to only answer those who do not pray to him. Major Rorley's Guide to Appeasing the Gods, 2nd edition. Is this foreshadowing that he will be with Violet, who never prays to him? So Violet works really hard for her knowledge. She does not pray for it. She literally says that, like, I don't pray for him because I feel like wisdom is something you're supposed to earn. It just seems a bit odd. So they definitely pray to Xaden, because before the meal, the triumvirate are like, we pray to Xaden, thank him for the wisdom he sees fit to give us. That could be like, well, they're not that wise because Xaden doesn't actually give them the wisdom. And that makes sense. Or it could be another form of kind of control of the island. Well, they encourage everyone to pray to Xaden, and then they get dumber and dumber and dumber. And then they keep voting for the same people, and they keep, I don't know if there's something there. Where it's like, could be another form of control.
I found that a little bit strange because this obviously is saying that the people who pray to Xaden, they are the ones who Xaden is not going to help them at all. But then when in the dinner they start to pray for Xaden, I thought maybe they won't do that because they want that everyone else are praying for him. But obviously they're doing it as well. So this epigraph, I was thinking it maybe from somebody from outside. They're just watching the people who are empowered. They are just praying for knowledge, and they are the ones who actually they don't have it. because they didn't know anything about dragons. They are like really limited about a lot of stuff there. For us, it's basic as well.
That's a really good point. So Major Roralee and her guide to appeasing the gods, she possibly just observed the people that were praying to Xaden and thought, well, he's obviously not answering those. Like,
Yeah.
they value knowledge, but they're not really that clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. This part of the book reminds me of Quicksilver. And I'm not going to do any spoilers because I know that a lot of people who are listening have not read it yet. This is my plea, though, to go and read Quicksilver if you haven't yet. It took me a little while to get through the first few chapters, but once I got through them, I absolutely fell in love with the story. Can't wait to deep dive it next in the summer. I'm not going to give any more away. I'd love to be able to, because there's a real link here between Onyx Storm and Quicksilver. Maybe we'll come back to it when we deep dive the Quicksilver one, but just to plea, go and read it so that you can join us for the deep dive of Quicksilver that will start in the summer.
Yes, it's kind of this like paradox that when you want maybe a god to help you about a specific thing, you need to make sure that that god is not going to know that you need help or something like this. So
I don't think that's a spoiler.
No, that's fine.
We're safe. Right, let's go for dinner with the family. So we meet the triumvirate. We've got Nayari, Roslyn, and Faris, the three rulers of Hedotus. Nayari thanks Xaden for the meal, for the peace in our land, for the wisdom he sees fit to gift, and the satisfaction of thriving relationships. And then they're all like, I can't remember what the equivalent of amen is in the prayer, but Oric also speaks the language. He does not miss a beat, and he finishes the prayer with them.
Yes.
And this is just another sign that he's been trained for all of this.
For me, Arik is another Xaden Ryerson from Fort Wayne. That when you think that you like going through all the layers, then something else comes and you have no idea what else come from that same character, that what else is hiding that's going to be so important. And we will find out, obviously, by the end of the book, the other stuff that he can do, but not just in the sickness related, but as a prince, all the stuff that he is able to do. Yeah.
Oric is my favourite. Like, he's quite quickly becoming my favourite character.
So here in this part is when the tea is served. Faris is giving like the thanks to Violet about this gift, and Violet said that she's just happy to help. But Faris is just holding the goblet, but he's not doing anything. Violet even says like it's like he's waiting something. And Xaden is the one like, yeah, we're glad that you like the gift as well. So he grabbed the cup, he drinks it, boom, like put it really hard on the table. So Faris is looking this scene like awkward. The Xaden is just being like rude, I guess. But after he sees Xaden drinking is when he drinks from the tea. So obviously he doesn't trust Violet neither at this point.
Well, it's because he knows he's about to poison them.
Yes, so he got tricked. It's just because Xaden started drinking. So he never thought that he might have the antidote already in the body. So he just thought, okay, they're drinking now, this is safe.
Then this shows the gap in wisdom between Violet and Faris. They said, oh, they've all got chocolate cake, but they forgot to bring them forks. Oh, the guests have forks. So just put two and two together. If it was me and I was poisoning everyone, I would just make 2 chocolate cakes. They didn't cut the chocolate cake at the table, did they?
Yeah.
It depends if you just trust your chefs and your waiters, but make sure that the poisoned chocolate cake goes to the guests and the non-poisoned chocolate cake goes to them. Because Violet could see, oh, well, if they're eating it, it must be fine. Unless you cut it at the table, it doesn't matter. Make 2 chocolate cakes. Does that mean I would be allowed entry into Hadean? Sorry, Hedotus. I don't want entry into Hadean. Hedotus.
I guess They had to put it in some point, kind of like obvious for Violet to find out, because obviously if you want to do it in a way they're not going to find out, then they won't find out and they will die. So Rebecca Yarros had to put like something like...
Yeah, but it was so obvious. It was so obvious.
Yeah. I would say something like you said, yes, they put maybe the cake or something, and maybe they're just playing with the cake, nobody's eating, and then Violet like, why they're not eating? They're waiting for us to eat first. That is strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a little bit weird when she said that, okay, they don't have force, and we're the guests, we have. Just obviously something weird with the cake.
And one of them said, I'm not hungry for cake. Okay.
Yes, but...
Yeah, you're right. I didn't spot that he waited for Xaden. God. He waited for Xaden. Faris asks, when you die, do your dragons? So again, he suspects that they're going to actually die, I think. I wonder if he's... why doesn't he know this? In an island that's so like wise and got loads of information that's so great, why does he not know that? Is my first question. And two, what does he think is going to happen? Does he think they're going to die and then the dragons will be like...
They won't find out.
Yeah, or is he worried they're going to be angry and roast them?
Yes, that's another strange part as well, because obviously he's just thinking, okay, if I'm going to kill these guys, are the dragons going to be a problem as well? And that's what he's asking. But he's still going with the plan. He's given the poison chocolate for Dan. So what is the next part of the plan? They die, let's go to say. Now we have a few dragons really pissed off outside. What he's going to do is just offering cake as well. That's like the part of the wisdom.
Kills the birds. Might kill the dragons as well.
Yeah, we have some leftovers here, guys. You want some cake? And Dana probably will eat.
Yeah, you could eat Faris. Talking about Auric. So one of the triumvirate is interested in Auric, and it's basically he is saying, Auric ultimately tells her, my brother will be king, though a horrible one. Heirs and alliances aren't my concern. I will fight in this war, most likely die, and do so knowing that I protected others. Has he seen this happen?
I know there's a lot of people who are concerned about this specific line where he said Holden would be a horrible king and he will die. But to be honest, I don't think you need a signal like Auric to know that Holden will be a really horrible king, because he already...
I'm more worried about him dying.
Yes, so you don't need to see the future to find out that, Holden won't be a good king. But when he said that he more likely die, I think it's just because he is so into, he will do anything to save Navarre, to save his kingdom, that he will die gladly for that, doing that.
Yeah. My one piece of hope in this whole paragraph is that there's no magic here, so we know he's not channeling at this moment in time.
No, but that doesn't mean that he didn't see them before.
Yeah, don't ruin it. I don't think he'll die. I think he'll become Melgren. I don't think he'll become king. I think Holden will become king. Holden might have some kind of redemption.
I don't know. Maybe Xaden, he will go for the other twin that he have forgotten. Go for the all of them, and then Auric will be king, because Xaden says that in the previous chapters that he will be a king because he is not his father, he is not his brother. So he will be the king that everyone needs. I kind of have a feeling that the Toweries will lose the throne. I feel like this has the markings of a change in power, and we're getting loads of clues that Tyrrendor will have a crown, and it might split the continent. This war might split the continent again, so they won't be united under Navarre. They'll be individual
kingdoms.
It will be province, will be kingdoms.
Yeah. So I get the feeling that if Holden does become king, or if Oric did become king, I hope he doesn't, because he doesn't want to be, then that would be king of Chaldea.
It will make sense because the dream from Maren, when she was telling to Catriona that you will be the queen of Tyrrendor, that crown will be yours, he will choose you. That could be maybe the next in line from Tyrrendor, not say that, probably Bodhi. He will choose Catriona as a wife. So they will be king and queen of Tyrrendor.
That's terrifying.
Why? Don't trust Bodhi and Catriona as our rulers.
No, Cat's growing on me, but I don't know. I think that Maren has some kind of seeing what people will become kind of gift. Not like Oric's signet, but just like a knowing somebody's destiny.
Yeah, had a vision and she sees Catriona as a queen of Tyrrendor. That doesn't mean that she knows how it's going to happen or when.
But I think that's why she was so kind to Violet all the way through Iron Flame, because she knew Violet's destiny. I think that's my strong prediction, is that Maren can see destinies.
Yeah, what the people will become.
They seem to be really interested about Xaden breaking off the engagement with Cat. So Talia supports our kind of theory there, because she's saying it would not surprise her whether that in the course of this war, Tyrrendor would become its own kingdom again. So even Talia thinks that that's going to happen.
Yes.
Through this whole conversation, though, we do find out that Talia has heard that they've broken things off. Xaden and Cat were no longer betrothed. And that means that Talia is getting news from the continent.
Yeah.
This is another part where, so they're trying to get Xaden and Cat to form a marriage alliance just for 3 years, have a kid, and then their bloodlines would be linked. And Garrick pipes up and says, if bloodlines meant allegiances, we wouldn't be here right now. Because Garrick is kind of suggesting there that Hedotus should already be in allegiance if bloodline meant that.
Yes.
And they don't. So there's only 2 possible things that could be going on here, I think. One, they're bullshitting them and a bloodline doesn't mean an alliance at all. 2, Talia is not from Hedotus, but that would mean that they possibly have an alliance with somewhere else that does have Talia, that Talia is from.
Yeah.
So there's possibly already an alliance with Loyal that they don't know about. But Loyal doesn't have an army, so again, it doesn't that we know of.
Or lovers.
Yeah. I don't think Fen married her for alliance. I think he married her for something else, and that's for Xaden.
Yeah, maybe he just want an heir for Tyrrendor.
No, I think it's specific protection from Loyal. I think it was possibly that he wanted Loyal's protection of his son, which would make it really interesting.
Yeah, so it would be kind of like Daddy Sorangel as well, but for Xaden.
Yeah.
Carrying the gods' favor for the children.
For a while, I did think that Xaden's mum was a god. She could be Loyal.
Yeah, I remember
I don't know
that.
if Loyal is male or female, whether it matters.
The other interesting part about all of this they were talking about, for me, when they were saying that, Xaden should be at least married with Catriona at least for 3 years, and the mother were like, yeah, just 3 years, they happen like really fast, that you don't have to worry that much, it's like mean nothing if you actually you love each other, it's fine. Why? I mean, why is going to Hedotus win from the union between Xaden and Cat? Because even they were saying we can do it really quick in the morning, we can have like everything ready for the wedding. And I was just like, why is the point of this? Because they were looking for the alliance with them, with Herodes. It's going to say that yes, then Tyrandor and Boromir, they come together. That's still not changing anything because Tyrandor and Boromir are still fighting together. That changed absolutely nothing.
It shows that he is able to make a wise decision, and that would mean that they accept him. But could this be a link to Takaris and the gem, and possibly that Takaris already has some kind of a deal or allegiance with Herodotus, and actually he's trying to get it back that way, get his deal back that way. Also, the link here is Talia. So was it Talia's idea to get Fen to make that allegiance in the first place with Kat and Xaden? Because she's still pushing for it.
Yeah. It's just weird because Talia knows that Xaden loves Violet. By this point, he knows that Xaden will do anything for her. But she's still pushing for this marriage because it's just like business. It's just, they're talking about marriage just like, it's just like a contract that you had to do for a couple of years. You had a child and then that's it.
I do guess that, like, the second time I read this time, because I read this set of chapters 2 times in preparation for this, because I wanted to get my feelings straight on Talia. And the second time I read it, I started to wonder whether she was just desperate to get him accepted so that he wasn't going to die. Because Oryx says something like, if it was up to me, I would get out of here. You don't have an army anyway. I'm not interested in you. I would get out of here before we find out what you do to people who do not pass the test. Talia knows what they do to people who do not pass the test. She is desperate for him to pass the test. And she thinks that one of the triumvirate wants him to make this wise decision with poor Emil or with Kat. Just to pass the test. And that's how I read it the second time. And I thought that she was just in a panic because they kill people or whatever they do to people that don't pass the test.
Yes.
Talia didn't want that to happen to Xaden.
Yeah. That's actually good call about it. She'd been a mom trying to protect.
She doesn't want him to die.
Yeah.
Xaden's not having any of this, though. He is not going to marry Kat. He says, I'm not going to marry someone. He says, you're the unwise people if you think I'm going to not marry the woman that I love and instead marry someone I don't even get on with. Poor Kat. But then he's like going off on one. It's like foreshadowing for the end of the book, isn't it? Where he's like, I'm going to marry Violet. You can draw up the papers. That's fine. We'll do that now. We can take your name or my last name. It says my last name is tied to the title, but we could take yours. Xaden offers, and his eyes soften just slightly when they lock on mine. And then Garrick's like, you could hyphenate Ryagale or Sorensen. But anyway, I wonder, this made me think, did Daddy, Sorengale, take the name because Daxton was, and we've said this, haven't we, that Daxton could have been tied to a title?
Yes, it's weird that he was for such a long time a shared Daxton, and then suddenly it was maybe after he turned just into captain, because here is when, in this episode, I mean, when we see maybe the first time that he's now Captain Asher Sorengale.
Yeah.
We don't know if he was maybe with Lilith for a long time. They have Brenna, they have Mira, and then later on they decide to marry, or they marry first and they have children later. We still don't know anything about it. But the fact that he is taking Sorengale name, it just give me like two options. Either he is running away from the Daxton name, because we know there's a Colonel Daxton.
And we know that he didn't like his family in the end.
Yes. So that could be one thing. That maybe there's a family issues from the Daxton side and he just want to cut that relationship and a Sorengale now. The other part is when Lily says that all Sorengales are riders, and then he found maybe a dragon, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna be a Soren girl because now I have a dragon. So could be.
Yeah,
I want
or
to believe
maybe
that.
they just got married and he became a Soren girl, because that could be.
I mean, it's less exciting, but it's a possibility as well.
I just don't want to be clouded by like the norm of what happens here, and that the woman takes the male's name. Not necessarily the same in this world. Mummy Ryerson and her reasons for leaving 10-year-old Xaden Ryerson. This made me so angry the first time I read it. I hated her. She says, "I couldn't take you. You are Tyrandor's heir." And then he's like, "You could have stayed," he retorts, and my head aches at the ice in his tone. And I know masks his true hurt. You could have been my mother. So why do you think she left?
It's something strange, to be honest, because looking at the timeline when this happened, Xaden was 10. So we know there were Dark Wielders, there was issues and that kind of stuff, but Fen was building a revolution as well, but nothing was like horrible bad after, I think maybe 6 years after that, when Fen Ryerson is captured and executed. I think Xaden was 16, if I remember properly. So it's been 6 years before things go like completely wrong. So why she didn't stay there? Why she has to leave exactly when he was 10? Because that's the end of the contract. You are not allowed to be here somehow.
Yeah, maybe.
That's it.
Maybe. It seemed like he treated her really badly, doesn't it?
Yeah, so maybe it was Fen, the one who said, well, you're here just for a contract. The contract is done. I don't need you here because I want to raise Xaden my own image or something like this, you know? Like a really proud father that doesn't want a woman like disturbing the education or the beliefs of the son. So maybe it was because of Fen, not because the mother. And then the mother has to live with nothing else. Because I don't think it's because they're Dark Wielders. Because, like I said, nothing happened after 6 years after she left. So why was the need that she has to leave? Because the contract said 10 years. Exactly 10 years she left.
Yeah, you wouldn't. And if you loved your kid, you wouldn't leave them, period.
Yes.
You wouldn't leave them on, unless it was to protect them. It would still be the hardest thing ever, wouldn't it? But also, like, you wouldn't leave them on their birthday. So she had to leave. She was forced to leave. Whether it was like a God's will that she had to leave, or whether it was Fen pushing her out, something happened.
Yes, because we're just assuming that she left by her own will. She was preparing the cake. Maybe when she was coming with a gift or something, Fen or the soldier just grabbed her and just taken out. And it wasn't even her fault.
Yeah.
And maybe she doesn't want to say anything against Fen because she knows how much Xaden loves his father, and now that he's dead, it's no point to maybe blame the...
Yeah, there's definitely something more to Talia than I got from the first reading. This time round, I'm being a bit more careful and not being some women also, and I should say this, some women are just not meant to be mothers. And they hate it, and they don't have a connection, and that is not something you can avoid talking about. So there are cases where mothers leave, and they leave because they think it's the best thing for their children and them. Like, they're just not meant to be a mother. Yeah,
they just believe that their child is gonna be better without them because they're just horrible parents.
Fathers do that all the time. But they don't get judged anywhere near as much as a mother would for doing the same thing. And that's kind of the way the world is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I fell into that trap the first time I read this. I was like, how could a mother leave her child? I think it's the blanket that got me. I was like, she obviously cared for him. She obviously loved him. Why would she leave? And I still don't think we've got that answer. I think she's just saying... she left because they were going to kill her. That isn't the case at all. I think that,
Something that for me was clear from Fall Wind, even before I found out that Vanny was a real thing, was that Fenrirson loved Xaden, and he knew all of that because I knew in the way that Xaden was talking about his father and all that kind of stuff, like the good memories. So for me, we're like, yeah, he loved his child. But then in Iron Flame, we start to find out a little bit parts of the mother, like the blanket, like you say, the chocolate cake, all that kind of stuff. That is something that is not done because you are bored or because you have to. That's the thing that you really want to do it because that's how you want to express love for your child.
Yeah.
And I'm completely sure that she really cares about Satan. She loved him.
Yeah.
But we don't know yet what make it go. So, like I said, the door is still open. It could be stuff that we don't even haven't think yet, and it's not gonna be just because she took that decision. Maybe that decision was told for her, and she couldn't do anything else.
One of them says, one of the triumvirate says, you talk about the continent, you don't even know the name of it. And Auric pipes up saying it's Amoralis, but Poromish records say that it was Amalekis. So you've got two things there. Amoralis is Amari, and you have Amalekis, which is Malak. So Poromish people, they have the Bay of Malak. For the Poromish, the continent was named after Malak. For Navarians on that side, the continent was named Amoralis after Amari. My theory is the Great War was between Amari and Malak, and it was a war of the gods. The only thing that the people of the continent could agree on after the Great War was that it should be called the continent. Why would they effectively erase the name of the gods from the continent if the Great War was not to do with them? And I'm going to take it even more unhinged. Possibly the war was between Malak and Amari. Possibly the war was between the dragons and the gods. And the gods controlled the magic before this war. And the dragons effectively stole it. And the possibly the griffins took it from Malak, and the dragons took it from Amari. And then the dragons are like, we pay no heed to your puny gods, because they defeated them. And actually it was the dragons that dictated the continent should be, or the dragons and the griffins that dictated the continent should no longer be named Amoralis and Amalekis, because they no longer controlled the magic. The dragons did, and it was now going to be called the continent, and everybody agreed on that.
It makes sense that, that we've had different islands that basically have the other gods in this island, and the continent. There's like this massive piece of land. It was called maybe Amoralis because it was dedicated to Amaris, the queen of all the gods. So you have like the biggest piece of land because you're a queen. But then Malik, I think Malik because he is basically a god that is all related to the dead. And even in the Greek mythology, we have Zeus and Hades. They're just fighting constantly for the power. Hades is the god of the dead, or the underworld. So here we can maybe see something similar. Amoralis is the queen of all the gods. Against Malik, they think that he should be the king of all the gods. So we had this like little reference here as well. So I found that like really interesting.
Yeah, and maybe it was the dragons like that put a stop to that war and like just eradicated the gods.
Yeah, something that I started to think after finish Onyx Storm is that the gods, they were humans at the beginning and they're turning into gods themselves.
Because they could channel.
Yes, because they were controlling the magic. And that was maybe before the dragons. And then after the dragons started to maybe take over about the magic, They just
And the
get rid
venom
of it.
came, and the venom were the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all about magic. The only way this whole thing is going to end if nobody has access to magic.
Yes, like parents we do when the children are fighting for one toy
Yeah.
for nobody there.
Share it, or or
That's
neither
it.
of you have it.
Put in the bin.
Yeah.
Going back to Eric, even Violet says what else is holding, because she was like, for fuck's sake, this is something else that we didn't know about Eric. First, all the language that he can speak, we no problem, and now the history as well that not many people have. And I was just wondering, he is not the next on the line, and he knows all of this. Is Holden as well, has this kind of same education? Does he know everything like this? Or is just Eric because he wants to be maybe more inclusive with other people, other cultures, and maybe he asks to maybe spend some time in each island or do something?
I don't think he's been before. I think he's learning.
It's just, I find it strange because, when it's about language, the only way for you to speak a language we know problems, like they say, like flawless, is when you actually are in the place constantly talking with people, or when you have somebody next to you that you're constantly talking in the same language like daily for years.
Yeah. I think they would have like very good tutors. I get it though. It does feel a lot, but I think Holden has the knowledge. I just think he's either not bothered about it or he is stupid. So Auric has got a lot of information, I think. So has Molvik.
Yes. Something strange as well about this scene when they're having this test, because we see that Rosalind, she had like some gemstones as well. And that is put in there like maybe like a scoreboard. So when they agree, they pass one of the questions or whatever. So they like put it on the table and that kind of stuff. But when I was thinking about this, I was like, could be maybe something in this gemstone that maybe, I don't know if I post magic or something that tell them if they're lying or not, if they're like telling the truth about what they're saying.
Or if they're wise, generally. Could be. I think there's something in the gemstones. And I wonder if, like, what I said before, I wonder if Takaris has done a deal with them.
Yeah.
Something Takaris is dodgy. Same though as, poor Emil, the riders, the flyers, sorry, they have these gemstones. Is capable of amplifying minor magics, is what they say. But
that's the official
they're not
version.
supposed to have any magic.
Yeah.
So they bring out the dessert, and as we've already said, only the guests have forks. And this bit is really, I don't know if this is just tactless by Talia. There is a really good, or she's just trying her hardest, I don't know. But there is a really good chance that Xaden absolutely hates chocolate cake now because his mom gave him chocolate cake and then abandoned him. And you'd think it's quite a painful memory for him and her. Doesn't, though. He still loves chocolate cake. We know that. So it's fine. Someone else who loves chocolate cake.
Oh, yeah.
Garrick Tavis. Garrick just doesn't wait, does he? Just gets stuck in and hits the deck.
And that's the end of the chapter. Where Gareth said, what's wrong? What?
They said we could eat. They said we could start. Bang.
Yeah, he's not breathing.
Oh, Garrick. That was a big chunk of chapters.
Yeah,
I mean, it was only 3, but there's an awful lot. And there's something going on in her Dotus.
Yes, it's definitely something about they demolished the whole thing, the building again, there's no port. It's just so many like dodgy things. People with purple eyes.
Yeah.
Trust people with purple eyes.
So, moving on to Oryx's Auguries, the part of the show where we call out our favourite theory from this week in a bid to stitch them together just before book 4 comes out and make a basically chain. I was thinking of a millipede. I don't know why. Anyway, a montage of unhinged theories and see how many we still believe.
Yeah.
So what is your favourite theory from this week?
I will say that there is something in the sea. So the people from Herodotus, they know there's danger coming from the sea. I don't know exactly if we're talking about sea monsters or maybe kind of like a pirates or something, like ships that maybe cursed or something. Give me like, Davy Jones and Pirates of the Caribbean like vibe. But yes, there's danger in the sea, and we will find out in the next book.
Can I have 3 favourite theories this week?
No, pick just one. I'm joking.
Can I please have 3?
Okay.
First one.
Yeah.
Talia is from Loisum, and she is spreading love through giving people children.
That sounds so bad.
Teaching people to love. No, that's teaching people to love through their children. Then purple eyes are a product of red plus blue equals purple.
So you believe the people from Herodotus are Venom?
Are Venom, or linked to Venom. That's why it's so pale.
Yeah.
But how are they coping? That's the question. Violet did say, like, where better to find a cure than on an island of knowledge. She didn't even have time to ask them. That's
so
bad.
maybe they know.
Yeah. Or at least they know how to control it. And that's possibly where Daddy's Soaringale found out, and he took it to Lilith. I'm sorry, I'm making a theory within the section of the theory. Right. And then my last favourite one from this week is that the Great War was actually between Amari and Malak.
Okay. Those are 3 good ones.
Yeah, we've absolutely gone overboard with the theories this week. Sticking with the theme of precognition, the epigraph for chapter 36 next week. The citizenship test for those wishing to reside in Herodotus reminds me of the entrance exam for the scribe quadrant, but our test is designed to measure how much a potential cadet has learned, and theirs reads as though to prove how much one has not. Herodotus, Isle of Hadian, by Captain Asher Soaringale.
Here we go. So definitely there's a link between Herodotus and the scribe quadrant. Definitely think there was some inspiration or somebody from the island before Bascaya was created. And come with these ideas for the scribes quadrant from Herodotus.
Hadian himself, possibly. Okay, shall we enter the interrogation chamber?
Okay, let's go to the interrogation chamber.
Last week, we asked, if you had to fight for an audience with anyone living, who would it be?
Oh, okay. I was thinking about this one, and I honestly, right now, this point of my life, I think I will go for Stephen King, because I'm an author. Stephen King for me is just like the dream. Like the guy who came with these amazing stories. They have so many, and they are so different, and it's just so unique as well. That for me, I would love to have like a chat with him to know like what inspired every single book, how is his writing process, and I just find that there's such a person that is so interesting because he's in a band as well, so he played the guitar, and he is like one of the top sellers in the world. For me, it's just, yeah, I would love to have like a conversation with him. What about you?
I'm going to go totally soppy and say that there is only one person that I would fight to have an audience with, and that would be you. Like, if you didn't, if you didn't, you know how like, it's the same question as who would you most want to sit down for dinner with? Anyone in the whole world. It would be you and our children. Like that, you are the only people that I like, obviously my family and like wider. But I can't see that I would fight for an audience with anybody else. I can't see that I would, because I'm not, I would lose the fight, wouldn't I? Let's face it.
And then we will have a dinner to compensate.
Yeah, you wouldn't. There must be some reason why you've decided that you don't want to have an audience with me. But genuinely, this sounds so silly, but I can't imagine fighting to want to talk to anybody else. Like, I wouldn't fight to... Yes, there's a few people that I would like to get some messages to right now, particularly with the state of the world and like what is going on. But genuinely, I think the only person I would fight to see would be you.
Oh, now I'm looking bad now.
No, because you wouldn't think of it the same way.
Yeah, no, obviously.
No, I didn't.
Of course,
say
you.
You
But
did.
I thought that was just too easy, so I was like...
Oh, sorry. Did I go too easy?
I thought you were going to say like Taylor Swift or something like that.
No. Okay, this week. You're serving dinner to your guests, but you need to test them with poison. Which dessert are you poisoning? Which one is like guaranteed to get everyone to eat it?
Okay, I definitely know which one you use against me.
I'm not saying I've literally just I've just reaffirmed my love to you to say you're the only person I'd
Especially
fight
because I
for.
didn't say you. The dessert will be served.
No, it doesn't have to be me. It would have to be like just the general public.
Okay.
Oh, it's a pretty naff question, to be honest. I couldn't think of anything else. Thanks for listening today. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. We're most active on Instagram, so come and join the conversation. We also have a Discord, so you can chat to us there. We absolutely love hearing your theories. So if you've got a theory, send it our way. We always give credit on the show and on socials because, let's be honest, the best theories come from you.
And with this, we had just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
We'll see you next week with more theories, more deep dives, and of course, with more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye!